Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my glass studio. In this video, I'd like to show you how you can use stencils and paint to create really elaborate, beautiful, elegant designs in your artwork. Now, here I've done these fall leaf designs, which I really gravitate towards, and I just absolutely love fall because of the bright, warm colors in this type of art. But you can use this technique for a whole variety of different methods, a whole variety of different designs. So let me show you how. Here's a close-up of the finished pieces so you can get an idea of the elaborate pattern that we're going to create with stencils. The exciting thing about stencils is you can make very intricate designs very quickly and easily. Simply take a pattern that you like, glue it to a piece of stiff paper. Here I'm using poster board, or I also use file folder material. Just glue that paper pattern on there, then cut around it with an X-Acto knife. The trick to a really clean stencil is to have a very sharp knife blade. Then it cuts through the paper pattern and the stiff material below and leaves you a really crisp line, a nice edge quality. If your razor blade or knife is dull at all, it'll drag through the paper and leave kind of a fringy or ruffled edge, which doesn't give you as crisp a stencil design. So really make sure you use a very sharp ruler, very sharp razor blade, very sharp X-Acto knife, whatever you're using here, make sure it's really sharp so you get really clean stencil designs. The advantage to putting in the extra time and doing a really nice job initially is if you take good care of this stencil, you can use it over and over for years. I still have this stencil in my file cabinet, and every so often, this time of year especially, I pull it out and reuse it. This is a great way to get pieces and design details that are otherwise difficult to cut out of glass, because this shape would take a lot of time to do with a saw, or to do it in a variety of different pieces. So the stencil really gives you a benefit when you want to do something that's kind of intricate and also do something that's kind of fast, quick, and easy, because stencils are so fun to work with because there's so much variety and so many different directions you can take these and get different designs or patterns or ideas and evolve into designs that are unique each and every time you make them. So fun. Here I'm using a 2-inch sifter with powder frit. Powder works best on the sifter because it goes through smoothly and gives you even coverage. The larger size grains of frit don't sift through and they just kind of clog and you won't get a nice even design. So you really want to work with powder material if you have it. Here I'm working with a tan, white, and a dark to medium purple here. And I'm creating a nice background design to create these, put these stencils on. So this base piece of glass is white. This project is made with 2 layers of glass. The base layer is white so that all my colors will show up true and really have vivid color and vivid design detail and a nice crisp outline for each of my pieces. So the bottom layer is white. I'm creating a design on there first. Then the top layer is clear. So I'll create design on both layers and then put one on top of the other to get a nice sense of depth and shadowing on the pieces. This is a great way to assemble and get some really nice different effects that you otherwise would not get when you just put all of your design on the top layer. So a little bit of design on bottom layer and top layer together gives you a stacking that really gives you a lot of depth and shadows that are just beautiful. These colors are really pretty. I'm using high contrast colors and opal glasses. The opal glass, meaning it has white in it. When you put a red on top of yellow, you'll get a red and a yellow. When you put a blue on top of a green, you'll get a blue and a green. So you get all these nice individual colors showing up nicely when you use opal material. Now you can make this transparent material too, but you will end up with sort of color mixes and blends as if you're mixing 2 different paints. Whereas when you use the opal frit, each of those individual colors will show and identify in the finished piece of art. When I work with powder frit, I try to create gradients so that my color is gradually transitions from one thing to another over the course of my subject matter. I suggest you do the same because if you're going to cut a piece of a design out of glass, a sheet glass, you get just a single color. The advantage to using frit is you can have gradients and gradual transitions and create a mood and a sense of, that these leaves are, have fallen from the sky or from the trees. There are different stages of changing color, which is really exciting. The other advantage to using opal colors is if you decide to get a little crazy and add too many details, you'll see all those colors because they will identify and show individually. Otherwise, you end up with kind of a mess of kind of muddiness. Now, I'm using both the cutout portion of the stencil and the piece that I removed, the negative part of the stencil. That's a real exciting way to create because you get a nice sense of, variations there and depth and just fun stuff. Now I'm using black outlining medium to create a tree limb on this design. When I'm satisfied with the outline here, I'm going to move this to the side and let it dry before I do anything else with it. I pulled a different stencil out of my little drawer, my file cabinet of stencils, and I'm going to introduce this other pattern to the pieces. So this project has 1 6-inch square and 4 4-inch squares. It's kind of component pieces or complementary pieces. So you can put all these out at the same time and get a nice sense of, pattern design in your environment, in your home, wherever you want to place these. So I'm going to use these stencils, the stencil kind of over all 4 pieces. So a little portion of it is on each of the pieces. When you're designing this way, it's not about getting the whole design. It's about getting an essence of pattern, a sort of a silhouette or shadowy feel to this pattern in the background that adds a mood or a setting for the design details that you're going to place on top. I covered the glass with a light layer of green. And now I'm using this deeper green to go around the outside of the stencil and the inside of the stencil. So I get these different shadings, these different levels and depths of color. When you wrap the area with frit, you want to make sure that you get good coverage so you have good color, but you don't want to use too much so that when you remove the stencil, you have fuzzy edges. So it's kind of a trick to decide, when is enough. You want enough frit that you get good color saturation and good design and contrast, but you don't want so much that when you remove that stencil, it falls off the stencil onto your artwork and creates a blurry mess. So if you're not sure, if you haven't used a stencil before, I suggest you take a little 4-inch piece and a stencil and a single color and practice with it for a few pieces. You'll get the feel of it very, very quickly. And then you'll know just how much to apply in order to give the effect and the desired results that you want, because this is your opportunity to be the artist and decide exactly how you want this to look. You can see I'm alternating the cutout portion and the portion that was cut out. Fun way to get nice design variations in a design. Now that the base layers are done, the base layers were white glass. Now I'm going to go ahead and create the design on the top clear layers. And here I put them together. This way I kind of save the frit by not doing each small little 4-inch square, by making an 8-inch square, kind of platform area to work on. I can kind of have parts of the frit, parts of these stencils, parts of these leaves overlapping from one square to the other. And I think that's cool. The way you have some leaves kind of entering into the scene, other leaves kind of exiting the scene. And then here I'm turning the stencil over to get another variation on the design. And I'm overlapping them and using, again, we're using opal colors and powder size frit because it goes through the sifter smoothly, evenly, and gives you great uniform coverage. And don't forget to mix up your colors. I know you're going to be sitting there using your stencil. You're going to use all red. And you're going to say, uh-oh. I'll be in the back of your head saying, uh-oh, Lisa said to mix my colors, make it beautiful, because the gradients are what makes working with frit so special and so exciting. You're making your own color combinations here that you wouldn't get in a sheet of glass. And you've got the benefit of this really intricate design, this stencil that just gives you so much beautiful detail. So play with it, run with it, have a good time. Oh gosh, always have a good time. And just keep adding more frit. Not so much, again, that makes it for a fuzzy stencil, but enough to give you good color and good gradients. I'm working with red, orange, 2 shades of yellow, and 2 shades of green. I purposely picked bright, vivid colors and high contrast colors for this design. So when you're making your own, think about that. Now, you don't always have to make this like a fall theme with these colors, although it's super fun and you're going to want to make some. But, this would be great with greens, with browns, with maroon, amber, other colors. You could certainly change this up a little bit. I just gravitate toward these bright colors because, frankly, I just love them. And, my countertop is dark. So when I put this in my kitchen or on a table or something, they show up brightly and beautifully because they're really rich with color. I'm purposely leaving some area exposed, some of the clear glass exposed, because we want to see the design that's on the white glass underneath through it. So although you want to have a nice full design and things kind of coming in from the corners and leaves turning this direction, that direction, keep in mind you do want to keep some of that clear area visible so that you can see all those wonderful details that you put on the base white layer. Keep in mind, if you use transparent frit for this portion of the design, when you place it on top of that clear base, it's going to, the two colors are going to mix. So you may not have as bright or as striking a color as you would have used opal. Now, if you know that going in, and that's the look that you want, then fabulous. If you want kind of a soft, maybe hazy, foggy look to your design, maybe it's more of a moody look, that would be great. Matter of fact, might be a great direction to go next time I make this, is work with colors that purposely mix bottom layer, top layer. Here, my intention is to keep those top pieces on the top layer so that they show up individually like they're floating in space on top of that bottom layer, because I want to create depth and a sense of shadowing that makes this piece, although it's very simple and very quick and easy to make, makes it very elegant and beautiful and special. I'm starting to feel like I'm getting a little carried away. And you know what? I'm totally okay with that. It's art. My gosh. You know, if you can't get carried away with stenciling, making leaf stencils, gosh, when can you? So just, you know, keep going. Add more. Oh my gosh, so exciting. And it's just like that pile of leaves, you know, when you were a kid that you just dove into and how joyful that made you. That's how I'm feeling about this design without getting wet or messy or cold. All I have to do is just kind of visually dive into these leaves and enjoy the change of seasons and these beautiful bright colors and how refreshing it is here in Florida to have that change of season finally, and, you know, the beautiful colors that we have that are just, you know, spectacular. Now we're going to bring in the base glass and put it underneath. Remember, the base glass is light green for a coverage and then darker green for the leaves. And look, I can see that below. So on the top layer, bottom layer I used 2 shades of green. Top layer I did not use any green to help differentiate the 2 layers. Now here's the 6-inch piece with the green layers on the bottom. I've got this beautiful tree limb here. And to be honest, I drew this tree limb out of a dark blue paint, not black, to give it kind of a mood. So I've got the white on the bottom with green stencils, the clear glass with the paint on the bottom of the glass. I let the paint dry so it wouldn't smear, put that down on top, and now I'm going to use that same maple leaf stencil to create some design on this top layer. I'm using a combination of yellow and now orange around the edges, the perimeter of the stencil, kind of sifting that on there. And now I'll remove that. Ooh, got a little bump there. That's okay. It's all right, a little softness there. That's fine. So we'll put the stencil back on, and then we'll go ahead and detail out another leaf. Now this one we use yellow. Go ahead and place that on there, sift that around. I want pretty good solid coverage here so that these show up nicely on top of that green on the bottom and on top of that blue tree limb. And now we're adding some red. So the first one was yellow and orange. This one's yellow and red. So there's some variation between the leaves. Gently remove that stencil and look at that beautiful color. Look at those gradients. Make sure you're making those gradients because that's what makes this technique so special and wonderful. You know, you would think all that effort I put into the base glass and the effort I put into the tree limb, at this point you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, none of that's going to show. What's the point, Lisa? You're just doing it for the heck of it. Well, what I try to do when I create a design is, so in this instance, the leaves are my focal point, the design that I want to create. When I think about making leaves, I think to myself, what can I do in the background to create a setting, a mood, atmosphere, a location for these leaves that makes them better, makes them stronger, makes this a stronger visual design, stronger piece of art. So all that effort I put into that base layer with the green stencils and all the effort I put into that tree limb, in the end translate to creating a sense of, you know, place for these things, which makes the artwork a lot stronger visually, and let me tell you, a lot more fun to make, because when it comes out of the kiln, you're like, oh wow, this is just really beautiful and all that effort was so worth it. I also want to point out that the white glass is slightly smaller than the clear. The white is about 5.5 by 5.5 inches square, and the clear is 6 inches by 6 inches square. And the reason I did that is that clear little border around the perimeter adds an extra design detail. That thin border makes the piece kind of delicate and elegant near the outside edge. And it's a little different design style than some of the other pieces I make, and I liked that. Also, when the stencil overlaps that clear area, that clear rim around the perimeter, it's going to be transparent and show a little differently. I also think that's a nice additional design element to this piece that makes, even though it's small, it makes it different and makes it special. Now I'm going to introduce a little bit of red to this orange and yellow leaf. So in some instances, I'm using 2 colors on a leaf. Sometimes I use 3. It's whatever feels right. And when I overlap something, I try to do something like a high contrast color where they overlap so that they show one leaf is sort of resting on top of the other like they're stacked. So keep that in mind. You know, I'm using like a regular yellow here and a marigold yellow. And believe it or not, there is some variation in that in the finished piece. They do show a little differently. Even if it's just kind of a tonal quality or a slightly different shade, it does add a nice additional color variation to the piece of art. So if you have multiple shades of red, use them. Multiple shades of orange, use them. Yellow, green, of course. Use it all. Use everything. And just, you know, keep building up the design so that you get those, you know, layering effect, the layering with the green on the bottom, the tree limb, the layering of the leaves with the different colors, the gradients, because those are so spectacular. You know, just keep adding more and more. You almost can't do too much on this, with the exception of covering the bottom altogether. You don't want to do that. But, you know, let it peek through a little bit. But, you know, just keep building up those designs and varying those colors. You'll be really thrilled with the way it comes out. You can definitely see the benefit of cutting your stencil out of nice stiff paper at this point, because you can see I'm reusing it so many times and it's in terrific condition. And after I'm done with it, I have a file folder that I put these in a file cabinet in my studio, and they're clean, they're dry, they're safe, they're not getting bumped up. And when I want to use it, I just pull it out and I don't have to recut a stencil. I've got that right there to use anytime I want to. Now I'm starting to decide, you know, hey, do I need more or not? You know, I don't know. I still want to see some of that bottom design. Maybe I just want to peek this leaf to kind of peek in as it's just sort of leaving the scene, or just falling into the scene, however you want to kind of make up your own story. But when I make my art, I like to make up a story about it. And that helps me decide what colors to use, what direction to go. And it kind of solidifies things, so I'm not just working randomly. So in this case, I'm thinking I've got these beautiful leaves falling. I want to create this nice setting. You know, how do I do that? How do I achieve that? And, you know, make something that's, although it's small, make something that's very unique and has a high impact, high visual impact that is really just makes a statement. During the process of placing the stencil on this design multiple times, some of the lines became a little blurry, or I ended up with a little bit of overspill between the leaves. So I'm taking a small dry paintbrush and going around the leaves to try to crisp up those edges and make sure that, you know, if there's an area where I want the background to be exposed, I want to make sure that that is clear and not, you know, obscured by like a fine dusting of frit. So I always like to have a bunch of little small, dry, inexpensive paintbrushes in my studio. I find so many uses for them. And in this case, I'm going ahead, go in there and clean up this design so it's really crisp and it has great line, really nice, strong line quality. So don't skip this step. Okay, this will be the step that, you know, separates you from, you know, the people that are doing it, you know, an okay job, people that are doing a fantastic job. And you are going to be the one doing a fantastic job. I know it. Now I'm adding some cranberry confetti because I just felt like it moved me and it sounded like it would be a great idea. And I love the way it turned out. Now, if you don't have this confetti, you could use small pieces of glass. I fired these dishes to a full fuse temperature and then slumped them in shallow ceramic molds. And here are the finished pieces. You'll find firing schedules as well as other helpful information on my website. I'm just thrilled with the way these came out. They're vivid, they're beautiful, they're bright, and they're so colorful. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed learning how to use stencils to create some really beautiful, elegant designs, and that you try that on your own in the future. It's a really fun way to add a lot of pattern, texture, color, design to your pieces quickly and easily. It's also a great technique to introduce someone new to glass fusing because it's very easy to achieve a lot of intricate design and detail without having to know how to cut glass. And who doesn't love sharing their wonderful, fabulous hobby or artwork with other people? It's just amazing. I love it. That's why I'm here sharing it with you. Anyway, please follow, like, subscribe, and comment on my YouTube channel. We love it. And your comments encourage us to be out here making new pieces. Please follow, like, subscribe. That way you'll know when the new videos come out. You'll get informed right away. Please become a premium video member. We would love to have you. We have new content, new exclusive video courses coming out all the time. Complete videos, step-by-step instruction, pattern ebook, everything you need to be successful. Plus, we have a whole bunch of projects that you are just going to love. Things that will challenge you, things that will teach you, things that will excite you. That's what we're looking for in our premium video members and our premium video member videos. We are trying to create things that will excite you and encourage you and keep that flame for fusing going. So become a premium video member. I don't know what you're waiting for. We got our 2nd anniversary coming up, exciting things happening there. So come on, join us. We're having a great time. You should be here too. And until next time, happy fusing.